SLSS 1020, freshman orientation. The lesson, your actual thing is Introduction to Higher Ed, but this is sort of your virtual freshman orientation. First thing I would tell you is we are using this book, Become the Higher Learner, Your Guide to Success at Salt Lake Community College, 5th edition. You don't need to buy it. We have plenty for you to borrow up at the campus. We'll check it out for you if you want to come up and get it. And most of the materials are actually completely available in the Canvas shell anyway. But sometimes I will refer to the book, and sometimes the slides will refer to the book. So if you want more information, this book by T.C. Stewie, I believe, is the way to go. But let's go straight into our scenario today, and we are going to go over freshman orientation. All right, so welcome to Intro to Higher Ed. This is the freshman orientation video, as I just mentioned. Please forgive me for any redundancy. Our key questions today, and these questions are going to drive our objectives, is what can you expect from college and what attitudes will help you be successful? All right, first big question is, how is college different from high school? And there's a lot of ways. You're in a transitional class right now. We'll kind of ease you into it. But college is very different from high school in some ways and very similar in others. One thing I can tell you is that instructors have a lot more independence in college. So your experience is going to vary on your instructor a good bit. And one of the things I'm going to tell you is read those syllabuses closely. I included one this week. Make sure you read it. It will help you. We might go through some syllabus training later on and talk about what you might want to look for, what the syllabus might indicate, etc. But make sure you go through the policy documents, because the policies in the syllabus are binding, and that's different from high school. Disclosures are binding. They're like syllabuses. They're syllabi, if you want to use the Latin. But they are not binding in quite the same way. All right, high school. It's expected, required. It's paid for by taxes for the most part, unless you go to private school. Parents hold some responsibility for you, and they can advocate for you. Most courses are standard among students with few options, although we're trying to increase that. Tons of time is spent in class. Teachers often have flexible due dates and excuse absences. Higher education, totally optional. It's required for certain jobs, but you don't have to do those jobs. It's paid for by students, parents, grants, scholarships, and or loans, as well as taxes. So in this ratio of how much the student and parent pay, and whether or not you're going to need grants or loans or scholarships, is going to very much depend on you. The part of it is paid for by taxes doesn't affect you at all. Students hold almost all responsibility. Parents can't actually get that involved in college without you signing things to get them involved. You are an adult. Your information in university is your information. It's not your family's. That's not true if you're under 18, which, like right now, you are. So while this is both a high school and a college class, your parents do still bear a lot of responsibility, but it's something to realize when you turn 18. Many courses are dependent on the major that you select. Most of the work is done outside of class. Almost all of it's done outside of class. Many professors have strict deadlines and attendance policies that have no exceptions, although this will vary greatly from professor to professor. You're going to want to go over those policies in the syllabus immediately. Community college usually offers 2-year associate's degrees. Community colleges typically offer a variety of 2-year associate's degrees, not a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees. Students will often start at a community college and then later transfer to a public or private university to complete the degree. The 2-year associate's degrees at community colleges tend to be practical. Are they preparatory for you going to a higher university? Community colleges tend to be affordable. They're significantly cheaper than universities. Compare the cost of going to the University of Utah versus the cost of going to Salt Lake Community College, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Quality. Despite Being less expensive than universities, community colleges tend to offer a quality education, particularly for early classes. Class sizes are smaller than universities generally, sometimes significantly smaller, and professors do not usually do research outside of their teaching duties at the same level that is required for universities, meaning they may be more focused on their roles as educators than some university professors may be. And in fact, in many universities, you're going to be taught by graduate teaching assistants instead of professors anyway during your undergrad. It's something to keep up with and know. Community colleges, public courses. Sometimes people would like to take courses even though they are not pursuing a degree or college credit. Community colleges often offer courses to the public that are not credit based and are usually cheaper. They also tend to have extensive remedial programs. If students need help getting up to speed in math, English, or other courses because they struggled in high school, they may take remedial courses meant to help those who need support, and they are provided at the community college at a large level. And this last bit's also important: tech programs. Many community colleges include technical programs. You may become fully certified to become a nurse, a construction worker, or a mechanic, for example, in many community colleges. These can be profitable careers that you can become qualified for quickly and for less money than many other options that require a bachelor's degree. Just something to think about. And you can always go back and do more education later if you choose. Public universities offer a wide variety of degrees and programs. Public universities are colleges that offer at least a 4-year bachelor's and usually, sometimes, a master's and doctoral degrees. They tend to have a wide range of areas of study. They can help you become qualified for many different careers as well as learn about many different fields. Research. A large focus of public universities is to conduct research as well as educate students. Many professors lead and conduct lengthy research projects, publish articles, impact beliefs and understandings outside of their classes. In fact, their class may be, frankly, not their top priority all the time. It's going to vary, and one should not generalize here. Remember, one of the things about universities is it's harder to generalize about what people are going to do. Class structures, often, particularly in the lower class level, so 10, 10, 20, 10 year freshman and sophomore classes. Large classes will be assigned to a professor, the main teacher at the college, but in-person students will sit in large lecture halls and receive lessons, but they will also be placed in smaller sessions with graduate students, students working on a master's or doctoral degrees, who assist in teaching the courses. In later years of undergraduate or graduate level courses, class sizes tend to be smaller as you get further up, and you may spend more time interacting with your professor. But for your freshman and sophomore years, there's going to be a lot less interaction with your professor than at a community college. Public universities, tuition is a big deal. Tuition is the cost of instruction at the public university, not the cost of housing or any other fees. Each university sets its own tuition, but generally in-state tuition, the price set for people who have lived in the state that a college is located, because those people are paying taxes to that college, they go to the college, is significantly lower than the cost of tuition for those who are from out of state. There are additional college fees and expenses on top of tuition, for example, faculty's parking, housing, food, textbooks, etc. But there's a flip side to tuition: there's funding. Universities tend to be pretty expensive, even the public ones. And there's a wide range in cost depending on where you go. Funding can come from 3 or 4 different areas. 1, scholarships, money given to students or future students for the use on their studies based on merit and or need. Many programs, including universities themselves, give these out for displays of excellence in academics, sports, or extracurriculars. And generally people have to apply for them and they are limited, but go to the college aid office and ask. There's usually more that laying around that people haven't claimed. Grants. Money is given to students or future students for use on their studies based on financial need alone. The most famous is the Pell Grant, Pell. The government gives grants out based on the FOSFA information. That's based on your parents and your earnings report on your taxes that you fill out on your FOSFA, which looks only at financial needs of students and not their merit. Loans. Money given to students on their use for studies meant to be paid with interest. These interests vary. Right now, they tend to be between 5 and 8%. They've gone up and down in my lifetime a lot. These loans can be useful, but be aware they must be repaid. Out of pocket, it is always an option to pay as you go in college. Sometimes parents have the funds set aside to help their grown kids as well. But we know, given the expense, we cannot assume that for most of our students, so it's just something to know. Private colleges and universities. What is a private college and university? Private colleges and universities are generally similar to public universities in what they offer education and degrees in addition to research endeavors. Funding for private colleges comes from different sources than public universities. They don't tend to get that much tax money, for example. And they often have a culture and expectation based on the ideas of the institutions. Sometimes they're religious, etc. It is important to look at the priorities and expectations of private colleges as well as academic and financial details. Private colleges tend to be more expensive, but they often tend to offer more funding and help too. Just something to know as well. Accreditation. If a college or university is accredited, it has been deemed worthy of granting degrees and certificates that apply in the workforce and other institutions. If it is not accredited, please be aware you may not have the qualifications you need for many job programs if the university is not accredited. Check the accreditation source. Trade schools. This is similar to community colleges in some ways. Trade schools, also known as technical or vocational schools, are educational institutions that are focused on training students for specific trades such as cosmetology, truck driving, welding, HVAC, plumbing, phlebotomy, and massage therapy. Hands-on training and focus on the trade. A major benefit of trade schools is students generally get hands-on training for the field in which they are studying. Usually courses are focused on a vocation. Generally, general education or liberal arts courses are not generally part of these programs because they're not needed. Certificates are not always degrees. Excuse me. Generally, trade schools offer certificates and other qualifications, credentials for students to work in the field that they would study, but they don't necessarily get a degree for these things. They do not always give out degrees that would transfer to any other type of job. Usually, the certification is domain specific. College culture. This is kind of an interesting thing. College is a place for students to learn academically, think critically, and test options to find their place in a larger society. I mean, theoretically, you were doing that in high school too, but usually there's much more stuff going on for you to figure that out, and you're younger. Especially if students live on or near a campus, life can look very different than before. It can be difficult, but also interesting and fun. Responsibility and self-advocacy. These are some big things that you need to keep up with as we go through this. Time management may be the most difficult part of college life. Often, and you will be juggling work, school, and personal affairs at the same time. Be realistic about what you can handle. Be sure to communicate with employers, family, and friends about your needs and class times and testing schedules and due dates for class that are not likely to change. They're often in the syllabus. Remember, check that syllabus. And if they're not in the syllabus, look at your Canvas and Canvas timeline. Find a system, such as an online calendar or paper planner, to be consistently aware of when due dates are. If you are in the habit of procrastination, find a management technique to help you avoid the stress that comes with procrastination. It is useful to set goals that will help you. Set priorities with your time. Number 2, and this is a big one as well, focus. When it comes to studying and completing important papers, assignments, and projects, it is pertinent that you learn how to focus. You may believe that you are good at multitasking, which may be true if you mean that you can perform a psychomotor task while doing other things. That's psychomotor test is like when you're running around. As well, for example, twirling a pen while considering a problem on your science homework. What is not easy, or perhaps not even possible, is parallel processing, or thinking multiple thoughts at this exact same time. You can switch back and forth between thoughts fairly quickly. 2 thoughts don't generally run through your mind at the exact same time. What this means for studying and participating in class, it is very important to turn down distractions that require thinking, such as conversation, certain forms of entertainment, such as television or movies that you have to think about. Watch ones you don't have to think that much about if you're going to do it. Notifications on your phone are the bane of your existence when you study, and you need to turn them off and put it on silent mode when you study so you can focus. It's a much more effective use of your time. Grades. Grades can be stressful, but they are also important. Getting or maintaining scholarships, being selected for future programs, jobs, and opportunities could very much depend on the grades you got in college, more so than high school, quite frankly. Understand which assignments and projects contribute to your grade and how, and be sure to put the most time and effort into the things that will impact your grade the most. This is important. I've seen this being ignored by high school students all the time, and college is even more important. Use resources, it will be explained soon, to be successful and get your best grades you can. Resources can help you maintain good grades, including your professor and your teacher aides. the tutoring center or writing centers. I spent a lot of time both going to them and working in them in my youth. The library for resources and a quiet place to work. Man, I used to spend so much time in the college library. Not even funny. Very different than a high school library. They're huge often, and they have both electronic and non-electronic stacks, and you can just get lost in them. Study groups. Studying with friends, if you can stay focused, really helps you stay accountable. The big deal is if you can stay focused. Course textbooks. Read your textbook. Course syllabi. Remember, this often tells you important assignments, dates, materials, and resources, and it's a legally binding document. So remember it. Registration and payments. It is up to you to apply for colleges, set up payments, enroll in your courses, find where they are, and show up. Don't expect others to do these things for you, like ever. But use your academic advisor and financial aid office as resources to help ensure that you're enrolling in the right courses at the right times and getting help with paying for them. These two things are important. Figure out who your academic advisor are and make sure you know where the financial aid office is. All right, responsibility and self-advocacy. One, you got to attend class, so attending classes. In times past, attendance and participation did not have much impact on your grades in the courses. You may hear older generations talking about skipping classes constantly and getting A's in their course. The culture and expectations are changing, and attendance and participation are often required and are usually useful as well. And online courses may involve live Zooms, which you may actually have to go to, or recorded lessons like the one we're doing right now. You're responsible for getting and learning the information in your courses. It's on you. It's not on your teacher. It's not on your professor. It's on you. Drop-in classes. You may find after attending a course that you do not want to take this course or don't have the time or resources to do it in a way that you feel you would be successful. It is important for you to drop the course before the deadlines so you can get your money back. And also, the courses does not affect your GPA if you drop them at the right time. There's generally a time where you can still get your money back, and then a time where you can still drop out without it affecting your grade. There's a time in which if you drop out, you will fail. A dropped course is much better than a failed course on paper. So yeah, self-advocacy. You're responsible for things relating to your college education. You are not alone. There are many resources available to help you, but you are responsible to find them and use them to your benefit. There are people who will help you. You got to ask them for help, though. Please do not try to do all of college on your own. There are many people and programs to help. Use them. Resources, professors, and aides. Professors are highly qualified experts in the field, generally holding a term-only degree. That's usually a Master's of Fine Arts, not a regular Master's, a PhD, an EED, a Doctorate of Medicine, etc. So doctorates and certain masters that require expertise. They have a lot to offer. In addition to lectures, lessons, textbooks, and potentially online courses, professors almost always offer office hours. It's generally part of their contract. A time when you can go and meet with and get help from your professor. Make sure you do it upon the office hour time. Don't just try to do it any other time, but they'll usually talk to you. You can usually find the office hours for a professor on their syllabus or schedule, or can show up during those times. Take advantage of your professor's expertise and get to know your professors. You never know when you're going to need a recommendation. They can be a great resource for writing letters of recommendation, which are letters which praise you, and that could help you get help you in the process get scholarships, most importantly jobs or future educational opportunities. Many master's degrees and high-level jobs require recommendations to even be considered. If they don't know you, they won't have much to write about and may not agree to help you out. Make friends with your professors if you can, or not so much friends, but colleagues. Additionally, professors often have teacher's aides or teaching assistants or graduate assistants, they're called many different things, who offer study sessions and help groups of students to study for material and prepare for tests. Now, graduate assistants and teaching assistants have other jobs, and they're usually also students themselves, so you don't want to pester them too much, but when they're offering the materials or study sessions, you should take them up on it. Academic advisors. Academic advisors are people assigned to help you to make a plan for college. They're kind of like the make a plan for college version of counselors in high school. In order to get a degree and or a certificate you are aiming for, you will need to get the right credits and the right courses. Academic advisors will teach you how to do this. Schedule meetings with your advisor to ensure that you are still on the right track to meet your goals. Libraries and databases. Colleges are almost guaranteed to have vast resources when it comes to many published texts, both physical and digital. A library usually has many books, as well as study areas, digital resources, printers, conference rooms, usually for group projects, internet access. Librarians know a lot and can help you out, particularly university librarians, and there are specialist ones they can refer you to as well. Additionally, college and universities usually pay for online databases such as EBSCOhost, Gale, etc., where you can conduct research using peer-reviewed research. Don't just use Google in college; it's generally a bad idea. This is a must for many courses, so you need to find out how to find and use your college databases. Classmates. Yeah, classmates are important. Sometimes the friends you make along the way are really the important part of the story. It can be very helpful and is sometimes required for you to work with your classmates. Some professors assign group projects or study groups, but beyond that, many colleges and universities students create their own study groups. While it may seem easier to avoid social interaction with peers, it is often much more beneficial to hear from a diverse crowd of people. Not only people who come from similar backgrounds and think similarly to you, but those who have different experiences and life perspectives. Your classmates can help you deepen your understanding of concepts, get a good idea that leads to success, and make college much more meaningful and interesting. Plus, they can help you get jobs later on, and just generally have friends. Friends are good. Tutors. Many colleges have tutoring centers, or writing centers, or math centers. They go by many different names, where you can get help with assignments, coursework, essay writing, and more. These are generally no cost, or you've already paid for them and given your tuition, as they are supported by your fees and other funding, such as grants. If you're struggling or insecure about how you're doing, go use the tutoring centers and the writing center. They will help you. It's their literal job. All right. Other supports. There are many other resources to help you out in college. For example, there's the financial aid office to help with payments, resource centers for students with disabilities, clubs of all varieties, recreation centers, mental health services. Use them; they're worth it. You pay for them in fees. Transportation systems. The buses are awesome. Cafeterias and the campus restaurants. All right. What is the purpose of higher learning, though? This is kind of a different question. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Good old Socrates. Beyond acquiring information, learning facts and information is useful, and it can be hard sometimes too, but with an abundance of misinformation available. We'll talk more about misinformation on later lessons. Learning correct information, however, is not the end game of education. All education, but most especially higher education, is meant to give you a place to think critically, apply the information and skills across subjects and situations. And in higher ed, conduct your own resources and find your own solutions to problems, and to think about the big picture when it comes to the implications of actions. The world never stays the same, so passing information and processes from one generation to the next isn't sufficient in and of itself. We need to learn to do more with what we see and study, interdisciplinary study. Most degree programs include general studies, often referred as generals or general ed. In addition to major specific courses, these courses may include things like English, math, science, and social studies courses, just like high school. The idea of these courses is to give you foundational knowledge and skills to apply across disciplines and situations, regardless of what you want to study. If your understanding of math may influence your understanding of music, for example, absolutely it will. As a drummer, you have to know how to count. And something you learn in social studies may influence how you look at your job as a teacher. Never underestimate the value of what you may learn in courses that you don't immediately see the benefit of. Final word. Higher education at college, university, or trade schools offers opportunities for useful skills and learning in addition to qualification for future jobs and training. Act responsibly and using many available resources can help you be successful. We're going to come back to this question of what higher ed is for throughout the course, so keep it in mind. There's resources. Remember, this book is available for you. We have a bunch of copies in our office at Kings Peak High School. You can come and check them out. You're responsible for them if you do. You can go and buy one on the Slick campus. And it's Becoming a Higher Learner, 5th edition by T.C. Stewie. Check it out. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I hope this helps you. I'll be around. You can always email me. I tend to either in Canvas or in your system. And remember, if you're a hybrid student, which usually in this class most of you are, I will be available. I can set up Zooms with you at the end of the day, etc., to make your life easier. So use those resources. Take care.